Hello and welcome, Lachie Barr, the Tannery Bar, to Not Your Thoughts. Thank you so much for coming in, man.
No worries.
We made it.
We did.
We actually made it. I'm really keen to talk to you, actually.
I'm excited too. I really am.
It's good. I think I kind of want to preface this for yourself and for the people listening and kind of caution it by saying I feel like I'm going to be a bit contradictory almost. Because this topic, I find it, I kind of have to wrestle with it ethically. I love the idea of hunting, tanning, but then there's another side of me that kind of curls at it as well. So that's going to be the general theme, is just understanding your mind, understanding the process with an open mind. But I guess I just wanted to start with that to say, I guess forgive me if I'm a bit over the shop in my attempt to understand it. And I guess to people who don't know what we're talking about, we'll start with what is tanning and what products does the Tannery Bar actually produce?
So the Tannery Bar produces flat-skinned deer hides. So deer, more so for rugs, not taxidermy mounts, but more, just for decorative. You can, pretty much just flat skins for rugs, that kind of thing.
Okay, can you start to use that for like clothing as well? Is that how it works?
You could if you wanted to. You could stitch it into a bag. You could combine it with some kind of leather product. You could everything like that. Do a bit of merch as well. Do a few other products as well. I do a lot of, I do a lot of content that teaches people how to do it as well. So and that's what I'm about too. It's about teaching people plus showing what I do and what I'm about.
I noticed that. Is that a smart business move though? Like I know
Bloody oath.
it
Bloody
is.
oath.
You're letting them be.
I
guess
teach everyone what I do, and I think you're dumb not to create good content that people get value out of it. And if you're giving good value content, people respect and they walk up to me and say, I really like what you do. I'm going to buy a hide off you for the fact of you showed me how to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
And people, you get two kind of, I kind of sum it up with three people you kind of get. You get people that, one, that are like me who are, I want to learn how to do that. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to learn to try and do that because I don't want to pay someone to do it. And then you get the third context where you get people that are like, I want to do it, work out, it's too much work, get too much into a rabbit hole of, oh, I'm lost here with that, I'm going to stuff up the hide. Nah, I'll just pay him to do it because it's easier and I'm time poor. Yeah. And then the third one is just people go, I'm sick of trying to hunt one and get one for you. I just want to buy one because I love the product. And when I do shoot one, I'm going to get you to tan it anyway, even though you've taught me how to do it. Yeah, I'm always going to lose people that want to tan a hide that I could have got their business. But the thing is, you're always going to have people that will copy you and do what you want to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's cool.
And that's what I do. Like, I just want to create good content that people get value from.
Yeah, and then there's, I guess, the fourth category of just viewership, which I think I'd fall under, is I love watching you in the process do these things. And I guess I just love that I feel something and I don't know what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
But I'm so intrigued by everything that you're doing. And it seems so like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm viewing it too much as an outside. Is it even intense? Like, is the process? I don't even know what I mean by that. But it's definitely something that gets attention. I'll put it
is, and it's an old trade that everyone kind of knew how to tan something at some point, especially when you get people coming up to at markets and stuff like that, and then they'd be like, where I sell them are these deer hides, and you get people that are just like, oh, sentimental value because their dad used to tan hides.
Yeah.
And you always get that group of people that are really into it and they love the animal skins and what you're about, and then they're behind the backstory of how they've actually produced the hide to get it there to that stall that day, and how much work and effort goes into something.
That's true.
And then you build up a bit more of a, you build up a bit of a following, so then people support you for what you're doing, and it's just growing that, bigger and bigger each year, and now it's just become mayhem. So
Yeah,
it's just, crazy big.
You see them everywhere right now, which is good. I'd never thought of it that way, to be honest. Because I do only see the end product, the actual hard yakka and hard work, complexity that goes in to get it there, and the sentimental. I think I listened to a podcast with yourself in it. You had one at your grandparents' house, which was that the first?
Yeah, that's
that
like
you
the
saw?
first memory of doing it was when we had a few acres out back of East Victoria where we grew up, and Grandma and Grandpa, they have a farm up in Mount Beauty, and they were bringing cattle that had obviously either lost their mum during birth, and then they'd raise up the cattle on the little acreage property so they can keep an eye on it all the time because they weren't up there full time. And then, they reared up the steer. It was called Tiny. This thing was huge. And, the memory was when we eventually got the home butcher to come in and knock it over and then butchered all the meat up. And the memory was, Grandpa laying out that skin on the garage floor, covering it with salt. And that's like my first introduction to tanning when I would have been probably 10.
Wow,
Something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it does have the value.
I didn't have any like relatives that were into it or anything like that. It's just it's kind of just all those sort of cool little memories you get from it.
And so what happened there? You seen this and there was. Do you recall the emotions you felt at the time? Intrigue, interest.
Yeah, because you're not. For me, it was like I kind of grew up obviously that background, and I didn't see the gun get pulled out or anything like that for the actual kill, but I saw that the huge animal, like obviously is deceased, getting cut up by the butcher, and he had it like up on his crane hoist on the back of his truck, and
with the gables.
Yeah, he had the gable hook on, and then good plug.
Yes.
And then he was sawing. I remember he had his little steel chainsaw, and he was sawing down that just down the center of the spine, splitting it in half, and then butchering it all up. And it was really, really, really cool because then, for the following months you're pulling out meat that you're like, man, this tastes sick. And it's just like, look at these steaks that just, it's so much different to when you're actually producing your own meat.
Yeah.
And the color difference too. And like when you see that bright red crap you see in the supermarket, that's not real meat. Like you never get it that nice. Like there's no... And then the yellow, like fat and stuff like that, you don't see. Like it's just so much different to what an actual
processed, manufactured type
it's
of meat.
like full grass fed and obese that's had a super super relaxed life and no stress at all, not loaded up.
That matters. So
absolutely,
the stress affects the internal side.
Absolutely,
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
It tenses up.
Yes, literally.
That's why, like when you're harvesting deer and stuff like that, if you're doing proper ethical kills, it's like getting meat that's just literally there's no pressure on the animal, there's no stress on the animal, and that's a really really key part of good meat. Yeah,
that's a mad link because personally, that's what makes me lean into the concept is just how disassociated we all are from like people completely. And it sounds stupid to say out loud, but it's true. People don't realize that their McChicken is a chicken. You know what I mean? We're so disconnected from the animal to the product that we're getting at the end. And I feel like the process that you go through, if anything, to anyone who finds it unethical, I feel like it's creating a more of an ethical connection to the animal by acknowledging it as a being before you kill it. As opposed to, I feel like the people who probably scream the loudest saying this, that, are the ones who are mentally just cognitively disassociated from the reality of what they're eating, essentially. Unless they've gone down a veganism path, then at least they've committed to that. But then that's a whole other can of worms, I'm sure.
And then people, I reckon, with the disconnect and you're saying where my friends that I went up to Queensland with, and they were like, oh, we want to learn how to do a full deer, harvest and do the whole process, every step, what we can cut up, how we cut this up, and the whole full thing. And we did 4 deer for the week, processed everything, did like 67 kilos of snags, rib cuts, lamb shank kind of style cuts. I was showing them how to kind of do like rack of lamb, but obviously with venison, you know, I'm just showing them all the cuts. I'm like, it's the same thing. It's the same animal. If we were doing this on a butchering on a cow or sheep and whatnot, this is the tenderloins through here, but they call them an eye fillet on a cow. Like it's in the same places. And then after that thing, they were doing the whole thing. And then Sophie, my good friend who's cutting it all up, she's like, I reckon this is really something people should do to understand like processing an animal, what goes involved into it. And if you want to eat meat and you want to understand it better, like it'd be awesome if people could learn the whole step by step and appreciate what they're eating and not be so wasteful, because that is what we live in. We live in a wasteful world where you're like, oh, there's hair on it, I'm going to just turf this thing in the bin. You're like, you don't realise that took lots of diesel, lots of hours, lots of everything to get it to your plate, and then people just turf it out. And you're like, that's where it's so wrong. We need to connect back with the oldest form of sport, which is hunting, and being involved in processing our own food. And because we're just so disconnected from it all. Yeah.
What does that actually do for, like, what does that look like in practice? So you're someone, not the process of hunting, but the now knowledge and understanding and appreciation of animals. Is it you did kind of say you waste less, essentially? Is it you're more conservative with these things?
And it's the thing, when you go and do 70 kilos worth of snags, close to 70 kilos of snags, as I said to them, as we're processing this, I said, do you guys, because they were like, they're up in Queensland, I said, you won't give this food out to just willy-nilly.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, if I like this person, I might get them a pack of snacks, because you realise how much time and effort goes into it.
Wow.
And you're like, and the value of that meat to you is so high.
That's awesome.
And that's where people just, you don't understand when you're like, if I give this meat to you, are you just going to feed it to your dog?
Yeah.
Like, you know, they ask for it, or you be generous and you be nice to people. And you're like, oh, here's some Scotch fillet, or, you know, some eye fillet, bloody venison or whatever. And you're like, well, I'm not going to give it to them because I don't think they appreciate it.
That's a really good insight, because without noticing, that's what kind of helps connect us to a sense of community as well. Like we all know something is happening in the world where we're disconnected. We're not feeling family as much as we used to.
No.
Whether you're religious or not, there's the element of lack of religiosity, if that's the right word. But I'm not specifying religion, just community religion.
Yeah.
Everything feels like it's breaking down. And I feel like you somewhat got to the crux of it with, hey, I'm feeding you with the things I worked hard for on a deep level because I love you, on more somewhat shallow just because I care, because you're interesting or whatever. But yeah, you just made it click there, the insight that I did not even make a link to the community element that it can bring just by giving someone what you value, which is the food you brought. That's awesome, actually.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
And they were awesome about it, because they just so wanted to learn how to do it. And when you're passing on your knowledge to someone else, and that's me, I'm like, as much as my content, like we were saying before, I'm teaching everyone how to do it, exactly how I do it. You know, is that a bad thing? I'm like, no, it's not. I reckon the more we can teach each other to do things and get creative, I think it's the best thing we can do for ourselves. And
that's beautiful.
Create knowledge and pass the knowledge on, because I feel that people, especially in my industry, like taxidermy and all that kind of stuff, they don't want to pass on anything. Yeah. They don't want to show anyone how to do it, because they're like, oh, you're going to take all my work. And you're like, no, mate, there's so much work out there. You talk to anyone in my industry and they are all flat out. And it's like, well, why not teach people how to do it? Like I think that's a beautiful thing to pass on knowledge. And collectively grow together. Yeah. And then it's just, people get better at that, and then they help you. And it just really sounds like this whole thing's grounded in community, or at least the way you're viewing it, which sounds important. And I'd attribute that to somewhat your success. Like I've always, not always, because we're relatively new acquaintances, but there is an air of community to the channel and to yourself. And hearing this now, it's even coming a bit more clearer. So I think that has to. And you've got to make connection. You've got to make connection with your audience. Like you got to, and there's so many people. Like I can't get back to everyone, but there's people out there that have bought multiple hides off me, and they keep buying them off me because, you know, I appreciate their business, and you give them a discount. You do all those things, and you create a community of, you know, even my brand, even my name of my business was created from my followers.
Yeah, okay.
So I put it out there ages ago. I said,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, I'm like, I'm going to give away this free deer hide. And they're always, and for anyone that doesn't know what I do, it's always fallow hides that I give away. They're real nice. They're a smaller animal. They're all pest, obviously, animals in Australia. So, and yeah, I said to the community of my followers on TikTok, I said, oh, well, I need to make a business name for my tanning, and I'm getting more and more following from it. I'm going to give this hide away. And then you get like, you know, 12, 13, 1,400 comments on that post.
Yeah, wow.
Of just people, you know, and awesome names, like wicked names. And then people follow you from there, and they continue, you know, and they were talking about, I was watching something the other day, it was like marketing and how brands now are getting more like disconnected with the whole like perfectly, what would I say, it'd be like the perfect structured video of selling a product. Now it's more like you're getting to know the personality behind the product, and that's what makes it so good.
Well, you can, there's options with the business you kind of want to go with. You mentioned taxidermy. Do you do taxidermy, or you're looking to get into it?
Yeah, it's something I want to get into, but for the moment I'm that busy with what I do. It's like I don't want to put too much on my plate, but it's something if I, in the time, maybe down the track I can get when I free up a bit more time with what I'm doing and where the business goes. And yeah, I'd love to. Ideally, what I'd love to do is essentially have like a creative space with the taxidermy and the tanning and stuff like that, and almost not even have me doing it per se, but someone that might join my business to then create learning classes on how to do the taxidermy. I want to do education.
Yes,
that's my end goal.
Awesome.
So it's not, for me, it's not I want to produce 1 million skins a year, and you know, I want to teach. Yeah,
teach a man to fish. Teach a man to taxidermy.
That's it.
He'll taxidermy for a lifetime.
Yeah, feed a man to fish, and teach a man to fish, or fish for a lifetime. Yeah, it's true, and it's true. That's what I like. Like,
it's awesome.
That's just me through and through. Mum's a teacher, so
nice,
she was, and she's entrepreneur too, like what I did with selling T-shirts at markets and when I was a young kid. So I had the influence from my mum to be like the buzz when you sell a product at a market, and she was that lady. She was the lady at school where parents would rock up and they're wearing my mum's design T-shirt. And this is this is back 90s, man. Like this was before it was cool to have your own brand and all that kind of stuff. She was like an OG about it all.
Awesome,
so yeah,
man.
That was cool.
It's coming there. Are you worried that your business is dependent on social media? What if you get banned, whatever? What if something happens to social media? Do you have a plan B, or what's to go there?
The word of mouth now is so strong with what I'm doing and how the demand is there for it. I don't see it being, honestly, if social media all just went shut tomorrow, I'd be pretty happy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be an absolute burner. Like, and people, it can be like, but it's what you got to do. But also I love it too, because I wouldn't be sitting in this room talking to you about what I love.
Literally connecting
right now. So that's the difference.
Yeah,
so,
but in saying that, we actually cross paths in person before anything. So
exactly.
you do find opportunities just by fucking having conversations.
Yeah.
Which is cool. How long have you been doing it? And what's something you wish you'd known when you first started?
2020 is when I started it. So it was pretty much COVID, bored in the shed. And then we started like shooting, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do these hides. And then I was like, that's what gave me the idea. And the one thing I really wished I kind of known from the start was salting hides is the biggest load of crap, and it's just BS. So
that's a turn from your. So the last podcast you had, you were like, some people like this, some people like that.
It's a load
now
of
you're
shit.
Fucking swinging.
I'm just coming out now.
Do you guys hear that? You fucking hear that?
But yeah, it's like, it's the biggest. That's one of the things where like, just because old mates done it that way for the last 45 years.
Yeah, right.
I know that a lot of taxidermy is the same thing. It's, there's not much change has happened in the last, 50 years on taxidermy in a sense. But yeah, salting hides, and so much waste of a time. It is such a waste of a time. Just chuck it in a bag, freeze it.
God.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good.
And when I say salting, and people who may not know what I'm talking about, salting a hide is what they use to dehydrate and pull the moisture out of the skin before it gets tanned. So that is what I'm talking about. People who don't understand.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because it was one of the questions. If you can even step it back further, could you explain to me the tanning process for dummies? And then when you get to this salting part, well, excuse me, yeah, I guess diverge. What's the two options there?
Yeah, so it's like the for dummies, like what I'm doing. Do you want to like the process of how I do it, or is it?
So it's dead. It's on. You've gabled it from the tannerybar.com.
Please buy some merch.
Yes, I've got my merch on back order, so I'm waiting for that.
Yeah, I'm getting it. I've got to put a massive order in. It's just like getting it all together.
But so before that, so you got the actual hides, you've got the gables, you've got now merch as well.
Yeah.
They're the three main
I
items.
really want to do like a street brand hunting wear. Like, that's what I want. I want to do like cool, nice, like casual clothes that you actually wouldn't actually almost go hunting in. More like,
all right, yeah.
I'm going to wear this to the pub, or I might go to a nice dinner or something, and I want to wear like a good, like borderline like skate /
all right.
hunting. That's where I want to kind of go with my style. And
Comfy or
comfort.
Yeah,
like, because
nice.
I've seen some of the top brands out there, and some of their garments and like hoodies and stuff are rubbish.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
But
the
they make it work
designs are
somehow.
no, I don't even know why people buy it. I'm like, this is shit.
Because it is shit.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is shit. Anyway, but all their other stuff's really good. It's just I don't think there's a huge gap there for that.
And jokes aside, where do people find your products?
Yeah, so most of the time I post a lot of my stuff on Instagram, but it's thetannerybar.com.au.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fuck, I nailed
Yeah.
that. Well, you claimed
Slash
the name.
that link. But if you go on my Instagram, it has my link tree with like my TikTok and my website and all the rest of them there.
Awesome. So you've fucking
boom, shot him.
You've got him, yeah.
I'll gut him out. Gutting's really critical on how you knife. So with everything you do with the knife, how you cut the animal up is how it is presented to me. And when you do a hatchet job of it, it affects your end result on how pretty the hide can sit on the ground. So it's really critical to get straight line cuts with everything you're doing. So like gutting the animal, doing the arms, giving me as much hide as you physically can. Don't cut the neck off short. Like give it right to the top of the head, down the arms and down the legs. You don't have to go down the legs. It's more just to the knuckle. So like on all animals, they've got essentially like an elbow, exactly like us, and it's cutting it down to that, past that elbow bone a little bit there, and then I just sleeve it out from there and then pull it down.
And so like qualitatively, you're making the incision, the cut. Sorry, did I jump ahead? Sorry.
No.
I was going to say, so cuts there. I picture peeling. I picture my skin peeling.
Yeah.
Is it peeling? Does it just come off? Is there
if you've never
blood on it?
If you've never scun an animal, there's only really blood and guts if you body shot the animal and you've hit like vitals like your heart and lungs, you'll get a lot of blood in that cavity.
In that cavity, yeah.
Whereas if you're head shooting like what I've always done,
like a boss. If you
just
know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, no, but when you start head shooting, you understand because it's like it's such an ethical way to do it. And if you get good at what you're doing, it just drops on the spot and you know it's done. It's out. There's no like, whereas if you're body shooting, I've body shot heaps of animals, but like it's obviously hitting vitals and it's a slower death.
Yeah.
It is. But anyway, jumping back to the tanning side of things, it's peeling it, getting it up off the ground, and then essentially like you peel it off like you pull your jumper off yourself.
Wow.
They just skin the bunny. Like.
Yeah.
So it'll pull off, but you're using a little bit of knife work, but very minimal knife work. As much as the least you can use the knife, the better. Because especially with fallow, you should be able to peel it off, and it should have pretty much not much meat left on the actual hide. So and then that gets just thrown into a plastic bag, and then I'll freeze it straight away. Or if that day, you can tan it that day. If it's cold enough, you can then start you use pressure cleaner, pressure clean the actual hide off, so it flicks all the skin and shit off it, the meat and all the fat, everything comes off it, and then it goes and sits in a pickle solution. Pickle solution's just really simple. It's about 3 kilos of salt and aluminium sulfate, and aluminium sulfate's just another form of salt. Then that goes into that combination into about 80 litres into a 100 litre container of water with all that mixture together. Chuck the hide in there, stir it every day for 7 days. Then you add a chroming. So then you add your chrome sulfate. So then you add chrome sulfate to that same mixture, mix it up for 7 days, stays in there for 7 days, and then it turns the skin blue. So the underside will actually be blue. Wow. It's green mixture, but it turns it blue. So it's called chrome tan. So it's chromed leather. So you kind of have like two types of leather. Like your boots on your feet will be probably most likely chrome tanning because it's a bit more softer and a bit more pliable. So like your shoes. Yeah. Whereas like your belts and stuff like that is veg tan. So it's more of a stiffer leather. Gotcha. And it's more rigid and stronger.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And when we say tan, that's creating the leather element.
Yes, that is leather. Okay. That's just my product has hair on it. It's essentially.
Literally.
That's it.
Oh, shit.
And just when someone goes, I don't know about the foam, you're like, well, it's just leather.
Yes.
Like your boots, your belts, your wallet, everything.
That's insane, actually.
You just got to look at it that way. It's just mine has the hair on it.
Yeah. And again, it's like anything that's like commercialized or detached for some reason we're accepting of. But when you get to the groundwork of it, it's, fair enough. You got into that after professionally hunting, is that correct?
Yeah. So it started off in 2020.
That was where it started as well.
Yeah. So kind of that was 2019. The idea was born for it. So 2019, the idea was with a mate. We were like just legit having a beer, been shooting together, and he's like, "Look at these videos of these guys shooting professionally. Like this looks pretty cool. Apparently, there's some good money in it at the moment because the deer, they're now accepting wild deer to be shot for pet food. Yeah, and they were paying top dollar, paying $2.70 a kilo for the dressed weight, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but that was like a big stag was nearly $500.
Yeah, all right, gotcha.
And it's not like that now. It's a hard game. So there was good money in it. I'm like, shit, right, let's do it. Yeah, and then we got our professional shooting ticket, which was getting up in Sydney. We had to do like a TAVE course, and then we had to do a video with another harvester to show how we could gut a roo efficiently and do the whole process, cleaning knives, stuff like that. And we did that over a few months, like 3 months or something like that.
Sorry, and 2020, did you have shooting experience prior?
Yeah. I've always been shooting since.
All right.
I was pretty late to the game shooting wise. Like I really only got my gun license as soon as, 19 or something like that, or 18. But I never really gone out shooting. I'd done a few target shootings with a couple mates, maybe when we were like, maybe 17 or something like that, with his dad's guns and stuff like that. When his dad took us out kind of thing. But yeah, got my gun license. And then, we went out shooting and a few other mates that had bigger farms, more roo shooting, stuff like that. Yeah. And they had permits to knock off roos because you can get permits to shoot roos as a landholder. Yeah. And so we're knocking off foxes, roos, wild cats, shit like that. Yeah. And then they all kind of got out of the game in the end. They kind of just, they just kind of, in the end,
sorry, I didn't want to interrupt the play. No, you keep it down. Just angle. Sorry.
Nah, it's all good. We'll sorry, I'm just new to this game.
No, it's all right. Same.
No, so then we just kept like shooting around the areas up around northeast Victoria. Yeah, nice. And then, like I said, everyone kind of started dwindling out of the game, like shooting and stuff like that. And I was kind of like, I wanted to do deer shooting. Like I really wanted to do some deer shooting because I'd watch a lot of YouTube videos, guys hunting deer, and I didn't have a lot of friends. I had a few mates that did it but weren't that serious into it. And then, it was kind of like, all right, I'll just get started into the shooting there. And then we, long story short, I just pretty much got paid for a guided hunt. And I recommend anyone to do a guided hunt because the more you can learn, as much as he sold it, and this was Dan, he had a really good advice on this. He goes, you might spend $2,000 or say $3,000 on a guided hunt, but you can go away for that $3,000 and you learn, hopefully from the right person, you could learn 20 years worth of knowledge in 2 or 3 days. Yeah. And they've made all the mistakes and all that wasted time, whereas they can point you in the right direction, save you a lot of money on diesel, driving around into the bush where you don't know where you should be going, where to look, and waste your own time, whereas you may as well pay someone and get the knowledge, and that's what I want to do
Paying
too.
for the knowledge.
Paying for the knowledge that you're getting, and then save yourself, and you can be going out and being successful quickly and not get disheartened by not finding deer, because deer are, especially sambar shooting. It's incredibly animal. It's so incredibly instinctive. They're hard to kill and they're hard to find. So you get disheartened, and you'll be like, I've wasted all this money on my guns and all the rest of them, boots and camo and all the rest of the gear, and then
Could have been avoided.
And if you had just paid for the course, you could have literally been like, sweet. And I bet you'd be successful very quickly after doing the course.
Wow. Except, so you got to pay for it unless you're here at Not Your Thoughts. You get you get the exclusive content here, which is good. Yeah. So I kind of asked you that out of sequence. So, that's kind of why it felt like it staggered a bit, as opposed to professional into the actual process itself. But you mentioned just then about hunted guiding, and this is flowing well into what I wanted to ask you next, because I wanted to get to know what's not only yourself, Lachie Barr, but the personality of a hunter, yeah? And my first experience meeting you, you were telling me what you do, and I was like, what? Like, what the fuck? Just awesome. Hey, I got a podcast, could I interview? Blah, blah, and that was cool. I also said, can you take me with you once? Do you remember what you said to me? You're just like, no.
It's so hard.
Bro, no, but let me just say, the amount I respected that, like, of just this pun intended straight shot. You're just like, no, I'm too busy. Like, I can't. I'm too busy. And not that I was expecting a yes, but the directactness of it. I'm like, hey, this guy's kind of cool. You know what I mean?
I'm just like, I won't waste people's time. I don't want people to waste my time. It is my pet hate when people waste my time. And it's like, because I value people's time very much. And it's like getting here this morning, and it was like I hadn't seen your message, and I'm like, shit, like, and I wanted to make sure when we did this too, like, I don't want to waste anyone's time. And
that's awesome.
And and it's that whole thing. It's like, it's a finding the time to do what I do, and when I do have my time to do hunting and go out and shooting on my own, like, I'm making the very most of it. And it's like, unless you're value adding to coming with me hunting, it's like, that's where I look at it and go, well, old mate's got a property that I can go and shoot on, and he's got to give me access to this place. Of course I'm going to make time to go do that, because I know I'm going to guarantee to get a deer. Whereas it's like, if I'm driving up to grandma's and it's like 4 hours away, 4.5 hours drive, I don't want to be like babysitting someone. I want to be getting out there, getting my hands dirty straight away, and no mucking, like, no stuffing around. I've got heaps of mates that are like, take me, and I'm like, I'd love to, but also too, I'm very much a man of, like, sometimes I just do it on my own.
Exactly. And you have like a social media account. So it's like, hey, I'm posting these things. I can see it online as well. Yeah. So I don't need to be there with you. I'm experiencing the same thing online. Yeah. So I completely get that. And a lot of people struggle with that, but I'm similar minded. And I think that's why I didn't take it rude in any way. Because I'm like, wait, I'm just going to be a leech in this scenario, like, for lack of a better term. Yeah. But I understand. Other than like, hey, like, there's not really much, as you just said, I'm providing. So I can appreciate that style of thought. I think more people should see the beauty in it, because it's not selfish. And even if it were, it's not, it's fundamentally self-focused, but there's so many positive byproducts to other people that come of it. Yeah. But there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, this isn't benefiting me at this point in time. I don't need to commit to this, essentially. So I think that was cool. But I did want to, so quick kind of power round. Yeah. Are you extroverted? What's your personality? Like, I've got a few
I'm pretty out there, outgoing.
Yeah, okay.
I'm definitely confident in my own skin.
Yeah, okay. So you have like a kind of enthusiastic personality?
I would say, win the morning, win the day. One of my mates would say that.
Yeah, right.
A few of my mates would be like, that's one of Lockie's favourite sayings.
So, okay. Well, I felt that. How about, and we just answered it, are you assertive?
Yeah, I can be with the right people around me. I can close up a bit sometimes with the wrong people around. But yeah, if want someone needs me to take charge, I will take charge if it needs to be in that situation. Absolutely.
So you don't feel the need to, but you you kind of have the ability to.
But I know when to step back and be like, no, I'm not going to be in charge here. I don't want to be. But then it's like when I know shit's hitting the fan, it's like someone really needs to step up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it when that situation kind of comes sometimes.
Yeah, I like that as well. But I also love and appreciate when I don't need to be the alpha of the group. And I'm like, not that I'm saying I am.
Takes
but
a
like,
real man to do that, I reckon.
When they can step back. I'm like, wait, I don't need to take responsibility?
No.
Wait, that's an option? Someone else is leading the charge? I'm like, fuck yes. Because I'm so used to feeling obligated to not lead, and I don't mean to say it like that, but to make decisions essentially. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool actually. You need to oscillate between both.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about your neuroticism? So are you sensitive to negative emotion?
Yeah, I'm probably a lot more sensitive than probably most people think, yeah.
Okay.
But I have a lot of empathy for people.
Okay.
So I don't have a lot of sympathy, but I got a lot of empathy for people.
So you can understand their position.
Yes.
As opposed to how are you distinguishing sympathy in this scenario?
When someone's complaining about something they can easily fix.
Yeah,
I don't have any sympathy.
Okay, I like that.
That's like, you're just wasting people's time. Like, you're leeching off me. Like,
yeah.
Oh, my coffee's cold today.
Oh my God, you nailed that.
Shut up. I just don't care. I really don't care. Whereas I got empathy for people who have like, he's going through a hard trot, but he's still pushing through, and I know what he's going through, or I couldn't even imagine what he's going through right now, and that's real empathy for that person of like how they're still keeping it together every day, and that I think that's my distinguishes from empathy and sympathy.
No, well said. How about do you and tell me when to push back when you want me to F off. Personal relationships, do you withdraw when there's conflict? How do you deal with conflict in your relationships?
Oh, I don't have drama. I've got about 5 top solid mates.
Yeah.
And I don't have anyone else because it's like,
okay.
I see all these people with big groups and stuff, and I just go, that's way too much drama.
Yeah, okay. But when confronted with it, are you just shut off type, or do you address it?
I would address it, but obviously I try and avoid it in the first place altogether.
Yeah,
drama, it's, I guess, I would confront it if it needs to be confronted. But yeah, I'm happy to kind of avoid it at all costs, kind of thing. Drama, and I'll just be a good human being. Like that's mine. Just be a good person. Everyone should try and be a good person.
Yeah, I know. You're asking for a lot these days.
Yeah, I know. I say to people at work all the time, it's just like, why don't we just all collectively try just to be better humans every day? Like, it doesn't have to be much.
No.
It's like
no.
I went on my afternoon run the other day, and I'm like, all right, just gonna pick up that rubbish on the side of the road. I could have walked past it.
Yeah.
It's,
I'm the anal mate who like mates would leave things or people would leave things. I'm like, can you please pick it up? And like, why are you relaxed? I'm like, pick it up. Like, just what's wrong with picking it up? Like, I really take it fucking personally. So before you grab a swig, defensive aggression. Do you get angry when you what does your aggression look like?
Aggression. I get angry when I drive.
But I have been so much more lately.
Oh man, it just shits me on the wall. But I wouldn't say I'm an aggressive person. I can definitely confront people, but I won't go out of my way to be like someone who's going to cause an argument and be aggressive about something. I wouldn't know.
Yeah. No, okay. All right.
Not.
Conscientiousness. There's only 2 more. So that's orderliness and industriousness, your ability to plan and just your tidiness. How tidy are you and how much do you plan ahead?
I'm pretty tidy. Like when I want to be like organised, set up, and I can get pretty strict on my shed and how it sits. And but then there's points where it like gets out of hand and I go, no, I've got to stop and just get everything clean and tidy and back to organised because it just clutters my brain.
Bro, I'm the same. I feel like it reflects where my mind state's at basically. If everything's tidy, I'm like,
if the tanning shed's messy,
spot.
it's like, nah, this is not a good start to come home from work to then start tanning hides and it's just shit everywhere. Like, let's get on top of it. Get it fixed.
Would you consider yourself, and it's okay, there's no judgment, somewhat intellectual? Like, where do you think you land?
I'm not
there?
the smartest man. I don't think I am, but I would say I really love studying people and and what I've learned from doing the tanning and the selling at markets. I really love the study of how people react with pricing and people's interacting with certain items and how you set the shop up and what works well and that create. I don't know. But pen to paper, I'm not the best, but I would say there's a lot more illiterate people than me, but I would say I'm a very smart in practical ways, like a very practical minded person.
Yeah. And then do you have any kind of creative outlets as well? Is this your creative outlet? Because
this would be my main creative outlet, and then obviously like some of my work too is a bit of a creative outlet in what I build and stuff. But I would say, this is my real creative, because then I can design just new stickers, new shirts, and all that kind of stuff, and put some pen to paper on certain things, and that would be my creative outlet.
Nice, man. All right, I could see that. That kind of captures you. That's pretty good. Like taking that a step further, hunting and just the tannery and having all these things, you seem to be capturing like self-sustainability or independence.
Yeah.
And I view that as well as like, in theory, this is going to age well, a solar blast happen that wipes out all of our electronics. I listen to a podcast that says that is inevitable. And that's not conspiratorial.
I know. Solar flares are huge.
Yeah. And they're having effects on the electromagnetic field of the earth. That's where my knowledge caps out. That's bro science right there. So when it does happen, not if, when, I don't know if I just kind of tried to answer it for you, but is that a part of the reason you feel the need to be self-sustainable? Do you feel the need?
I think everyone has a little bit of prepper in them. I think everyone.
Okay. As you should.
It's like, you should not just go around thinking, hey, Mother Nature's not going to turn around and throw an atomic bomb at us one day.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's not, I know ignorance is bliss a bit too, but I'm not going to be around one of the people that's just going to be like, consumes their life and they ruin their life worrying about something that may never come in their lifetime. But it might not happen in our lifetime, but I still think
that is supposedly.
Yes. Well, I don't know. So it's it's one of, is that what they're saying now? They're saying it was
only one podcast I listened to, and I won't digress because it's going to be bro science. But it's a man who, I think his name's like Space Weatherman or something, and he's basically just very specifically, very methodically pinpointed the patterns of when these things are happening. And it's happening X amount. I think X amount that happens in a small burst and in a big burst and in a small burst. And it was just very observable. And he pretty much said the next one is, there was one happening probably a couple months ago, but nothing actually came of it. And he's pretty much saying over the next few years, we should expect something big, which might only wipe the grid out for like a day. He's saying maybe a month, maybe a couple.
You don't know.
You don't know.
And
is the point.
People are blind to just how much Mother Nature can throw up an absolute doozy. And you look at like the bird flu thing that's happening at the moment.
I didn't even know.
And it's massive. It's just going to wipe out all these chickens down South Victoria somewhere.
Yeah.
And like now this influenza's gone through the sea lions, dolphins. It's spread to everything, and it's in Antarctica.
Wow!
And it's like it could kill millions and millions and millions. And you're like, oh well, do we just keep going by and Mother Nature's just totally ruined because we're just too many people on the planet and we're just raping and pillaging the whole place a bit too. So I think like for me, it's like I love being in nature and people go, oh, how can you be a hunter and not kill animals and stuff? I'm like, I love these deer. Like, I know it seems wrong, but I love these animals and what they're like, how they react and their habitats and what they do and how they work systems and everything. I love how they react at night versus during the day. And because I've hunted them both time periods, I know what weather they like. I know the moon phases, everything. Like, the amount of knowledge I have on animals is wild. Yeah. And the shit I see is, I'm like, I go to places where I'm like, people may never, ever step foot across this spot and look how beautiful it is. And like, I get to take that in. And I don't know, just you go out there and it's concrete jungle. So
yeah. To the critics who make the assumption that to be able to do this, there has to be an element of, and lack of a better term, psychopathy. Do you think there's any truth in that idea that you have to have something somewhat antisocial to be able to kill animals that way?
No.
No.
No. I think you kill animals every day when you eat something or drink something.
What if a
Every day.
vegan's asking who fully stands on that position though?
I think you should care where your food comes from, and the ability. I'm not going to say I'm a better person, but I have the ability to then feed my family or feed my friends with meat that I've harvested, and I understand and have sympathy for the animal, which is a pest animal too. So it's like it's taking grass, and it is affecting habitats from other animals that are native as well. So that's where I'm like, oh, there's something wrong with you. Like then what you're trying to say is like, well, there's something wrong with you if you shouldn't care where your food comes from.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that would be my and that's the thing. If you're drinking your soy latte and it's like you realize like how many animals get killed with the whole thing of that process. What? Just because a worm's not as special as a deer? Like they're both living animals or living creatures, and they're both getting killed. It's just like I've just decided to shoot one large animal, which obviously is Disney is painted as a Bambi, and that's my killer. It's a bit like the bear. Like it is a teddy bear, so people think, oh, it's a big cuddly bear. That thing can kill you.
Yeah,
and
I think
and the
anthropomorphize is the word.
Yeah, and that's where people don't understand. It's like if you don't control these numbers, that's where it's really bad. Because when drought hits, which it will, when a drought hits, you'll see those animals die by the thousands and thousands and thousands. And you see it in places like South Australia where my mate used to live. When I first started going up there, there was roadkill all over the roads, everywhere. You would drive in the mornings, you'd be like, holy shit, dodging eagles because the eagles are eating the roadkill. And then I went back up. I hadn't been up there for a few years, and I went up and I'm like, why is there no roadkill, man? Because there's nothing. He goes, yeah, because we had that drought for 4 years. It just killed everything.
Oh, shit.
Not a single. And there's the first thing I noticed. Like I'm talking, you wouldn't go like, you'd be going in sections where there'd be every 100 meters a dead root that's been hit by a truck that last night. And then the drought came through, wiped everything out. Like and that's got critical animals there. So they got the yellow-clawed rock wallaby, which is obviously there's only found in like 2 places in Australia. And they were just lucky that this little spot they had to, feed water out to these animals to get them to survive.
Sorry, and how are you linking that again? Could you make that link back
just like in the fact of like, you're a site, there's something wrong with you killing animals, but it's also too, it's taking care of the animals by harvesting them and taking animals and controlling the numbers. So it's part of that's where I'm kind of linking back to. And there's people like, oh, you're crazy, but you're like, have a look at what we're doing.
Yeah.
There's so much more of a bigger message with like, oh, there's something wrong with you. It's like when you close your eyes and just hope that it all goes merrily well and no problems at all, that's when something's wrong with you. Like, yeah.
And somewhat bro science, but I believe this. I just read it somewhere, whatever. The idea that all predators have their eyes facing forward, which like you aim, you hunt, you go forward. Whereas if you look at like birds and fallow and deer, it's somewhat more on the side to allow them to scan for predators as well.
Yeah.
So I think it is innate for us to be omnivores and kind of move in that direction. So I'm trying to challenge it, but I'm with you. Yeah, I 100% believe it's normal to create the relationship with the animal that you're hunting and actually appreciate it that way.
Yeah, it is the appreciation for the animal and the love you build up for hunting and what it's about.
Yeah. Has it done anything for your ability to just notice things? Have you noticed your personality change because of it?
Nah, not in that sense. Like not in a personality like trait. It'd be more what I've noticed about it is more like my visual things of picking up on stuff. Like my like eyesight for things is wild. Like whereas people they'll scan like I'll be driving along and I can just make out the tiniest bit of a deer on the side of the road in the middle of the night. Boom, I know it's deer straight away. Whereas people just be like, oh yeah, they wouldn't even see it, but I know what I'm looking exactly for. Just even like this, the shape of a kangaroo when it stays faces not facing you. I know that shape straight away. As soon as I'm scanning on the light, boom, there is a roo. And people are like, where? I'm like, there's a roo there. And it's like 250 meters up. I'm like, it's there.
Really?
Just hold the light.
Holy shit.
And then they'll be like, boom. Oh yeah, there was a roo there. Because it's just like, then they'll see it. Because it's just like, if you don't, once you get so good at looking for stuff, it's, you just really pick up a lot of shit.
Yeah, I truly believe everything is pattern recognition. And to some degree, you're just kind of ingraining that in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be pattern recognition.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like I'll eventually convince. I'm gonna jump in your boot one day. You're not gonna notice. I'm just gonna fucking be there. But I have the urge to hunt in a way that's like not just hunt, but I feel like the word stalking has been so distorted in our modern times. But it's such a beautiful thing to be able to aim at something, track it, hunt it, and make sure nothing's tracking you at the same time. But to be able to find something and to just kind of flow, and this thing doesn't know you're watching it, but you're observing it. I love that. So like where I cap out is like, I like to watch birds basically, or just animals. If I see an animal, like a lizard or anything, I'm just like in and I'm trying to get as close as I can. And I just have the urge, but I haven't hasn't manifested out.
It's beauty, like animals are beautiful, like they are.
You can just observe them, yeah.
And I go out hunting all the time with mates, and I've done it many a time. I won't put a gun on my shoulder. I'll just go out there to find deer for them because I'm not about like, it's not always about the kill. Like it's just about finding them.
Yeah.
Because it is such a rush when you do pick up on a big animal, and you're like, oh, there they are, and you're like, you know, you've got to be quiet and you're sneaking in, and it's just like the wind's in your favor. Are they there? Are they over that log? Like everything comes into it. It's like if I go down that spot, it looks a bit crunchy, or the look was a bit thick, that I might not be able to pop up the other side. So might go this way or go left or right, and then you go to that next ridge. But then you're sitting on your phone with like Google Maps, just trying to make sure that area looks maybe not too bad to go into, and then you're like, you're really concentrating on what you're doing in every step.
Yeah. How close until they hear you, and what are the physical requirements?
Sambar deer, anyone that shoots, like red deer, just like they got their instincts. Red deer, they don't have many predators where they originally come from, so their instincts are not switched on.
That's sambar, sorry?
No, that's red deer.
Oh, sorry. Oh.
So they're incredibly like, they just kind of go, oh, there's a gunshot. And they just look around like there's no real threat to them. Fallow deer are more of a pack animal, so they're more of a mob animal. So they'll be like in bigger mobs. They're a lot more flightier because they're such a smaller animal. So whereas sambar, they're originally from India, so the Bengal tiger is their instincts is going to kill me. So their instinct is, I'm sitting in an Australian bush, there's a Bengal tiger that's going to leap over this rock and kill me. So you imagine their instincts. They've got big satellite dish ears. They're huge, and they can just hear and pick up anything. Their scent is just unbelievable. Their sense of smell, like they will pick up something. You can get busted 500 or 600 meters away, boom, they're gone.
Ooh,
easy,
all right,
easy. And you'll see, and they'll hear a noise. If they hear a noise they don't like, boom, they're gone. Like it's just, that's why with like hunting with Bowie, my dog, like he's a pointer, so we've trained him to like scent deer. So then he come in, and it's just
so jealous, bro.
It's so cool. Like it's cool, just. Everything about it for me is just, I love it. Like
You're in it. You're in life, bro.
Yeah, and it's like your mind is just so like straight, and like I am looking for this deer, and there's nothing distracting me. I'm not worried about a single thing, and it's like, is that big stag just over that ridge? And it's just always that, is that massive mythical stag just a little bit further that way? Is he there? Is he there? You're always going for that bigger stag. So.
Yeah, and not that it's for everyone, but just that's. Dogs co-evolved with us. Like you're living a life that's by human definition meaningful. You know what I mean? And
that's what we've got to live. We've got to live meaningful life. Like you got to live like
community, like connection, understanding. Like these are all traits that are coming out. Have a passion,
And that's what the tanning is like my passion. And then when I see people get passionate about it, it has its days where you're like, this is running a business is just sometimes shit, which it is, but there's days where you're like, this is sick. Like
sometimes maybe shit,
and
sometimes
maybe good. Pretty much. It is literally sums up running a business. Like, so it can be very taxing. People calling you at all kinds of day of the hour and stuff like that, and then people just not paying you or whatnot as well, like going slow on payments and stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, I love it. I genuinely love it. I come home from work my 8 or whatever hours I got to do. And then I come and sit in the shed for 3 hours after work. Sometimes doing it, but that's what you got to do. You got to grind, and people don't see that. Like it's just the amount of hours I do. Instead of going and sitting on the couch and watching Netflix and chilling out for the rest of the afternoon and doing nothing, I'm just like pretty much headless idiot when I get home, kind of thing, just trying to do stuff. So
awesome, man, and it's paying off. Fortunately, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome. What's your most memorable experience hunting?
It would have been my first one would have been with my dog, Bo. That was my first. Like I'd been hunting before that, but my most memorable was the first deer with Bowie, and that was where I went on the course, that guided hunting course, and we were tracking deer for ages, and I missed this huge stag at the first part of the day, and it kind of would have been. I'm glad I didn't kill it. Like, I'm glad I didn't shoot the animal, because it would have then put a thought in my head of like, oh well, you can shoot big stags like that all the time. Must be that easy. Yeah. So then we just ended up. I missed it completely, and it was a decent stag. And then we went around down in this gully system. We walked for quite a few hours after that. And we found a couple more deer, and I didn't have a shot on them, and they just popped up, and I couldn't get to it. And anyway, come down into this real thick dogwood. So dogwood is like this tea tree looking crap, and Sambar deer love it because it's so thick and keeps them bunkered down, and they feel safe in there.
What's dogwood, sorry?
Dogwood, it's like tea tree. It looks, it's like a bush. Like, it's just like real thick. It's everywhere in the Australian bush. Okay. It's like super thick stuff that the deer love it because they can bunker down in it and they feel comfortable and safe. They feel like they're secure. Yeah. So they'll be more inclined when they're bedded down to be like, I'm going to wait. If I'm in a thick, really covered area, I'm going to wait and see what it might be that's coming before I actually run. So you kind of get a bit more timing when they're bedded down and comfy.
Sorry, just to make sure I'm keeping up. They get better timing to run.
Yeah, they get more. You get better timing to get closer to them because they feel more comfortable. So when they're bedded down.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, that's on. And then we're hunting down into this gully system, and then we come into this thick dogwood, and then Dan, the guy I was with, he's like, "There's a deer," and because both dogs had gone on to point, so there's two dogs dead set, two dogs on point. They would have been like 30 meters in front of us. And then he's like, there's a deer there, there's a deer. I'm like, I can't see it. And he goes, get down. And we're on our hands and knees, like crawling in. And then I had my gun on his shoulder and it shot between the two dogs. Like, it was well and truly safe shot between the two dogs. And then the doe was in this thick dogwood, and then boom, shot it there. And it was just wild because it was like, shooting off his shoulder on like hands and knees. Two dogs on point, like rock solid pointing, and then the deer going down, and just like, and it was just such a momentous day because it was like finally I'd actually got this deer, like finally like paid for the course, and the whole thing about it was awesome.
Wow. First seek beauty, then find truth.
Yeah.
So I'm just seeing that as this beautiful symmetrical scene, and you guys are just in the middle of fucking bang.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
You set that scene very nice, actually.
Yeah. So it was like, and even he's like, man, that was epic. He goes, even after I'd done the course, like 3 or 4 years later, I spoke to him. He's like, I still tell people about that exact deer shot because that was just wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds like something someone would write.
Yeah, it was just wild. It was just like intense.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So that was my most memorable.
Beautiful. What do the dogs do? Dogs, they hear a gun and they run?
No, they're pointing, so they don't.
After shot, sorry.
No, not even after shot. The whole purpose of a pointing dog is to follow the scent of the deer, where it might be bedded in a gully system. So you might be up on top of the hill, and you work the gully system. So when you have a system, it's like you'll have ridges and hips, and like you'll have full faces where they'll be bedded down into. So that's a system. And then the system will have like, you might have a spur or something like that. So then we'll trail down a spur, and then you're scenting with the dog, and the dog will pick up where the deer is, and then he'll come in and he'll find roughly where the deer is, and then he'll point at the deer. So he'll stand solid. And then you have on your GPS, it has a pointing mode. So, and then my GPS vibrates and it'll be like Bowie's on point. And that's when you're like, holy shit, we're on here. Because it's like...
Wait, as in it tell... Oh, so
much,
he's run ahead.
You get him ahead. You get him away from you. You get him away from you because he makes less noise. And you think about this. What's in the bush? Wild dogs. So deer go, oh, it's a wild dog.
Oh, my God.
I'm not scared of a wild dog. If anything, stags will size up to your dog and they'll like stamp. I've had times where I've popped up over a ridge and this Sambar stag's young Spikey was just stomping the ground. He's stomping. Because he's seeing Bowie and he's looking at Bowie and he's pretty much what he's saying is like, piss off, I don't care. Come at me. This is my territory. Like, I'm not scared of you. Like, I'll stomp you. And Bowie's just like 30 meters away, just a solid point looking at him. And then they do this like they do a pointer like stare back. They do like this slow stare back sometimes. It's just the most satisfying thing when your dog looks back at you and it kind of gives you a look of, can you not see what I'm looking at? Like, can you shoot this thing? It's awesome. It's really weird. It's so cool.
You're communicating.
Yeah, and you're concentrating with your dog because my dog, and I'm picking up on my dog and where he's scenting and I'll say, and then he'll huff and he'll he'll take in more air, and I know that he's sniffing because he's scented something up over that side of the ridge, and you're like, and then you'll pop up over, and sometimes it might be a wombat, it could be a big sandbar. So yeah, they still sense wombats for some weird reason. Doesn't matter the best dogs, they still scent them. But yeah, it's that whole man and dog trying to find deer and then point and then shoot.
That's so inspiring.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that we as a society are more, we think it's more natural for dogs to detect drugs than we think it's for them to actually detect deer.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing at their core.
That's what.
Whereas like socially, we all can just like, I don't know why I'm fucking mind blown right now. When that's
what they're
dog is dogging. You know what I mean?
A golden retriever is a retriever that retrieves. A poodle is an actual waterfowl bird.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a French bird, but it's actually a hunting dog, a poodle. Look it up. Yeah.
Fuck, okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
the more you know.
There's so many dogs out there that are, like, they're all... Labradors were obviously, they're retrievers as well. They use them when they do the pheasant shooting. So they'll do the pheasant culls and then they'll have all the labs and then they were retrieved because they're a water dog.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
The more you know.
That's it.
How often do you not land a kill shot? And then what does it actually look like finishing the job?
Yeah, so it does happen. That's just part. You're trying to avoid it at all costs. And especially when you're out professionally shooting, that's when I say to people, I said, this question, it's like, in professional shooting, we take pride, especially me and my mate were doing it and the other shooters we knew, we take pride in the fact of we went out, we shot 49 roos or 35 roos and we had 2 misses.
Yeah. Misses or like body shots?
Clear misses.
Okay.
Everything was killed with that, like out of the 39 roos.
With the shot.
With the shot.
Yeah, yeah.
So he pulled the trigger 39 times and we missed. We pulled the trigger, 42 times or whatever, and we shot 38 roos or something like that. So it's like you take pride in being a good shot. And the thing too is, if we miss, we lose money.
True. Yeah.
You're not going out there to miss. So it does happen. And usually we can follow it up with a pretty quick shot. And sometimes you just have to, unfortunately, put a body shot in just to make sure it's done. But 9 times out of 10, we would have a shooting, if it was my distance from me to 100 metres shooting roos, I would say I'd have a 98% strike rate.
Ooh, wow, okay.
Once it's pushing past 150, that's when you start pushing your limit. And then it's like 250, I can still sufficiently shoot a roo head at 250.
Yeah.
That's well and truly achievable and being efficient at it, but in the right circumstance. And you're always working where your shot is. You're like, right, if I shoot there, am I going to be able to get to it? So you're not going to go out and just shoot willy-nilly too. Like you're concentrating on where you're shooting, how safe is the shot, am I going to be able to get to the animal if I kill it too? Like, because they drop straight they'll go boom, straight down, done.
Yeah.
So it does happen. And
250, that's insane.
Yeah, but the right scope setup and everything, it's well and truly achievable. Well and truly. So you're talking like a 25 times optical zoom scope. So you're 25 by 50. And we had a suppressor license too. So we had like legal Australian suppressors, and we were shooting proper
Are you like licking the wind and you're like fucking?
Nah, moon phase. Wind is really critical, but moon phase is really critical.
Moon phase?
Yeah, moon phase. So you learn that from...
Are we talking crystals now?
No. Huge thing. Because we were going out when we first started and people were we worked out, I'm like, why are we not seeing a single deer tonight? We see 40 deer just out on these one paddock. I'm like, we've seen nothing. And then we're like, what is wrong? And then we're kind of like, maybe the moon's stuffing it up. And when you do some research, when it's so bright with the moon, animals don't feel safe.
Oh, okay.
So the more moon, the safer, the less safe they feel. So they want to feel dark. They want to feel like
covered by the shadow.
And so when it's full moon phase, they'll only feed for just as much as they need to and then get back out.
Interesting.
And then people were like, oh, deer hate the rain. They hate the rain. So this is what I got told when I was started in shooting. I'm like, Samba don't like the rain. They'll just get enough feed in their gut and then they'll go. They love it when it's like light rain and like black, dark, miserable, because it's like they feel the safest then. So they the study of like animal and how they react in certain elements of the night, and how, you know, bit of rain, full overcast or no moon, it's just like they are all out.
That's
Everything
insane.
is out. Everything is out. So yeah, it's so much animal life happens at night time. It's wild. It's really cool. And especially because we're hunting with thermal too. So we pick up. So with thermal, when I say thermal, it's like it's all heat image. So everything's in heat. So you can see, you know, all the animals out, and then obviously you scan a hill, and in full moon, there's just nothing.
That's insane.
It's really cool.
I thought you were going to say like you had to do a moon dance. Or,
No,
we're talking
I wish.
real.
I wish it was that easy. It's like, yeah, charge your crystals.
Yeah, charge your crystals. Yeah, you're like fucking Mercury's in retrograde.
It was shocking how much it affected it, like animals.
That's amazing.
It really did, yeah.
Fair enough. So have you had to? You spoke about it, but was there a scenario where you landed a body shot, and then what do? You just take the neck?
Nah,
because you did like what? Focus on the finishing part.
It's more like I would. You just quick round. Like if the animal's still kicking or whatever, and it's say it's paralyzed or whatever, it's just a quick grab the gun, reload it, straight between the eyes, boom, done.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like just straight away. Like that's just as quick as you can.
Yeah. Okay.
That's and it's done and dusted. So, and yeah, it does happen. But when I say to farmers and other people, I say we're difference between a professional shooter and a recce shooter. So a recreational shooter just goes and shoots a box of ammo maybe twice a year, whereas we're pulling the trigger. We could be pulling the trigger 150 times for the week.
Yeah.
Think we're going to be good at it? Yes.
Yeah,
that's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
If we miss, we lose money. So you want someone who knows what they're doing, and that's where having professional shooters is a good thing because they're efficient and then ethically killing the right animals. And also too, people are like, oh, joeys. You kill heaps of joeys. You're like, no, you don't. You're going and shooting the biggest ones you can because as a smart harvester going onto someone's property, you would shoot all the large males but leave the females because then all the males come back in.
Oh,
that would be the smart harvesting thing. Whereas if a farmer's being smart,
animals,
yeah, exactly right. That's what they do in America if they're trying to control their animals and whatnot. It's always about you shoot the males, shoot mature males that have spread their seed across all the girls.
Yeah.
So they're already impregnated the rest of the next population to come through. So it's like
men are just men across all species, bro.
We're all animals.
We're all animals, bro. I love it.
And that's what we forget. That's what we forget.
And that's what you remember, though.
Yeah.
That's, like
oh, man, it's just a primitive thing of, like, handling meat and, like, going out hunting. It's just everything primal about it just kicks in, and it's sick. That's what I love.
Do they, so just to kind of recap the personalities, because I had it next, but we already touched on it. So fallow are smaller and stupid? Not stupid, sorry.
I would say they're more of a mob animal. So they'd be more like they are like a larger mob animal. So they've got that pack mentality
that
of
was
like,
it. Sorry,
they've got a pack mentality of like flight and fight.
Yes,
like they're just out of there like as soon as they don't like something. But they're not. Fallow. But yeah, red deer are definitely not as smart as
red deer. Yeah,
smart. That's for sure.
And then the Samba was the
the Samba, alert. And then obviously you got a couple other species like chital and stuff. Chital are pretty flighty, and then rooster as well, and then hog deer. So
what's Sika?
Sika like they're a European deer, but they're only penned in Australia, so they would be in a penned environments, as in people would have their own herd of them that they would be breeding, not in a wild capacity to shoot.
Yeah. Do you do they show fear? Am I creating an image in my head?
I don't reckon they do.
Okay.
Weird. It's deer unless they were like maybe getting chased by a mob of hounds, but that's about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you somewhat desensitized to killing an animal now? Like, how have your emotions developed over time?
And when I say desensitized, yes, I am very desensitized to it, but I still have a massive respect for the animal.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah. It's second nature with me and a knife and what to do, cutting up an animal and killing an animal and doing everything like that. And I do it quick.
Yeah, okay.
But
efficiency, baby.
Yeah, that's it. It's like speed is everything. I can gut a ruin like 20 seconds. It's wild. Like you get good at it. Yeah, it's so easy. But like when I say that, it's like, yeah, I am massive respect for an animal, especially like if you've got an animal that's, say, people come to my house and they see the big trophies on the wall and deer antlers. People, they go, oh, you're an animal. Like, why would you want to have that like horrible creature on the wall? I'm like, I'm honouring that animal.
Yeah, yeah.
I respect that animal, that I want him in my house. He's fed my friends and family. He gave me an absolute unbelievable memory that I'll have cherished forever. Till the day I die, I'll be thinking about that stag. And it's so much of a bigger picture to me than someone who's not looking at from face value of just like, oh, that's a dead animal.
No, 100%. It's like, just to kind of reiterate the point, it's the flow of life. And to think humans aren't in that flow is so ignorant, to say the least. To revolt at that idea shows how detached you are from literally the cycle of life that we're involved in as well. Like, I just
and
can't,
we all get sucked into it too, like the rat race and just trying to, keep up with the Joneses a bit too. Part of me just like, oh, I reckon I could just sell it all tomorrow and just find some little block in the middle of nowhere and just have nothing and
have everything.
Yeah. And just go do whatever I want and, still work a bit, but and do the course and all the rest of it too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Have you had any dangerous encounters before?
Yeah, plenty of like sketchy situations. More dangerous was more like car sliding down the hill with the gun in your hand and, sliding back 60, 70 metres down off this like borderline cliff to the left and the right of us. And somehow we pulled up the car and we're just like, holy shit. I was like, we're going to die. We were going to die. And then obviously falling asleep when I was driving home from root shooting one night. And fell asleep, ploughed through an overtaking sign up at Murchison Way and somehow kept the car upright and didn't hit a tree on the other side of the road because there was all trees on the other side, and I somehow just managed to just plough through this sign and then just pull it up somehow miraculously on the grassy area on the right-hand side of the road. And just stuff like that. Just more like real, just you're young and you're just like, you just at night too, it's hard because you're driving around in paddocks where you can't quite see exactly where you are. So during the day, you're like, oh, yeah, I can go down to there. Whereas you'd be like trying to use a spotlight to be like, right, do you reckon if we get to that point, we can get out or not?
Yeah, true.
And then you get to that point and you're like, we can't
We cannot get out.
And we've got to get back up. And then we just like, you're winching and it's just like, oh, this is shit. We've had times where we like, last bit of the night and then we just got bogged in this like random spot on top of a hill of a paddock and you're like, how did we get bogged here? And then we're using ratchet straps and all kinds of shit to get down to this tree. We finally snatched like 6 or 7, it was 200 metres down we snatched down to this tree and then we finally like got the car out, gutted all these roots, and then as we're driving back out, straight bogged again. And then
you're kidding, yeah.
It was just
because of the weight as well.
Yeah, the weight as well.
Okay.
It's just more dangerous stuff like sliding and stuff like that. It's happened plenty of times.
It sounds like more logistical
Yeah,
nightmares.
it's not more the hunting.
There's no predators or something like that.
Me personally, no, I haven't been in hunting in like boar country and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Awesome.
touch wood. So yeah.
Good.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. So how do you know if you're overhunting? Is that even a thing, or they're all?
I would feel like if you're getting overhunting, I guess.
Overhunting.
Yeah.
Not overhunting.
Overhunting, like no. So as in overhunting an area, or yes.
I thought.
Yes. So overhunting an area, yeah, you would. You realise, especially roo shooting, you can knock down the numbers pretty quick.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can actually realise once you go in there a few times, if you see big mobs, I always say to the farmer, I'll be able to judge it pretty quickly, and you'll be like, all right, if we come in here about 4 or 5 times and we shoot 30, a 40, a load of 50, we'll knock most of these down pretty quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
But saying that, we're only taking the mature animals and we're not taking the small ones. So then you're going to be like, right, you'll probably call us in another like 2 or 3 years' time, and you'll be like, they're exploding again. We need to knock them down again. Yep. So you do knock the head on it, which is good because you need to control the animals, because it's like we've created this problem by clearing more land, putting in beautiful pastures, and then we fertilise these pastures, and we want to get top-notch amount of grass we can get in a paddock so we can feed the cattle that's on that paddock to produce the most amount of money out of our property and out of our farm. So then that means that the roos have got abundance of feed to eat on. So, and then we've built more houses, which has pushed more out. So that means that there's less, especially in places like Wallen north of the city, it's like you got all those big housing estates just growing and growing and growing, but the pasture there is awesome wheat country. Like that soil's super fertile, and the amount of roos that build up out there. So you got to control the numbers because they'll just when a drought hits, that's when you'll have problems. Because
sorry, go on. Yeah.
And when you have the drought, then that's when you'll have problems where the roos will literally just die. They'll just die from starvation.
Ah,
that
point landed more strongly now.
Yeah,
okay.
so then that's why I was like, when I went, South Australia had that massive drought, that was like the amount of roos was just death.
Which is suffering.
And this is horrible way to go. That's a horrible way to go.
All while competing with the cattle.
Yeah, and everything like us,
everything like that. All right, no, that actually makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
It was in my head and I don't want to look at my notes.
Just look at you.
No, I got
do
this. No! Yes. So what would you say though to people? You kind of touched on it, that the argument that you're in their home, so just them naturally existing on that basis, how can you justify killing a single animal if you're coming into their home?
I like this argument because we are all coexisting on the earth and we are responsible for the earth together. And I guess I'm taking a life, yes, I'm taking that, but that life is then feeding multiples.
Yeah.
And especially if it's definitely over here, like pest species, it's like we should be trying to take as many as we can because the problem with deer now is wild. It's so bad in so many areas where you go and you'll see 60 to 70 deer out on a guy's property out in back of, Melbourne. Not even that far from the CBD, an hour's drive.
Back of Smash.
Yeah, everywhere. Like this one out in Hillsville, I went to his place and I'm like, there's like 70 deer feeding out on your 60 acres.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So you've got more than one head per acre. And you don't even feed and then when they're on your paddocks, they are feeding like crazy.
Okay.
So he can't put cattle on his property.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I've got that much of a deer problem. They just screw the fences. Everything's knackered. So
And sorry, to the point of co-living.
That's the thing. That's our part of we shouldn't be disconnected. It's like how when I guess the Aboriginals coexisted here. They burnt off. They cleared land and they burnt off. Sorry, and then they would be harvesting possums and they'd be eating the kangaroo. They'd be coexisting with the earth, and that's what we should be doing.
Yeah. Okay, that's nice. I guess what I feel like a lot that I did want to ask in this section we've already covered though. Because I was just going to say generally, what do you think morality is? Like, what does that mean to you? And what does it mean to kind of morally kill an animal? Which it's somewhat repetitive because I feel like I'm already satisfied with what you've said.
Yeah, like it is that thing. It's like I have mad respect for the animal, and we've kind of it's that very respectful of the animal. And like the Inuit, they used to when they killed an animal, they would put it up. I think it was like they would say they would put it up in their living room, and it was paying respect to the animal. They'd have the head of the animal in their like essentially kitchen, and that was their way of showing respect to the animal, being like, you are feeding our family and we're honouring you. And 100%. That was their like spiritual thing with that animal. And it's like, it was watching this, I think it was a pretty controversial thing. It was like these very, I think it was somewhere in Europe, and they were still killing whales for feeding their own family. And he had the point of like, I know this seems extremely barbaric for us to slaughter, these 3 whales, which we battered and got into it was this island town, like it was like North Scotland. I don't know where it was real remote. But his argument was, he goes, I know this seems extremely barbaric to people who are us killing whales because obviously they're such a well-loved animal and everything like that. But we kill one of these, it feeds our whole families for like the whole year. And
wow.
Yeah, and it's like, I know that's a horrible thing to be killing a whale, but we're feeding our whole family for a year, and it's kind of essentially we've always done this, and that's part of our life and our culture. And whereas, yes, you go and kill a cow, you can feed your whole family, but we don't have that. They didn't have the area or I'm pretty sure the climate for because it was almost Antarctic kind of style where they were, and it would be dark and during wintertime or whatever, but that was what was their main food source. So that's what they had to do. That's how they survived.
Yeah, it's become that way because of not ethically hunting the way you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's become like that. Even the idea of killing a whale, only because we overdid everything to the point of almost extinction, because there wasn't that caring kind of element with it. But if you bring it back to the core of survival, 100%. We're all going to want to survive, yeah. Do you think the animals have their own consciousness? How does that? Where's your thoughts with that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
kind of a bit more abstract, not.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I don't know. It's something I haven't really put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
I mean, it's literally humanity's.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever going to know.
No.
Especially AI, they're trying to create consciousness and.
It's wild, isn't it? And you see all that shit now, and you're like. We're getting
so far
removed,
into that. Yeah.
so removed from the real world. And
Yeah.
it's like, this is how we used to do it 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's barbaric to go and shoot something.
Yeah.
They're like, why? Like, why is it now just so... Factory farming's horrible.
Yeah.
It's shit house. Like, you see, massive pens of pigs and chickens all crammed together, and that's how we have all these outbreaks of crap, because they're all just on top of their own shit.
Yeah,
and that is what causes all these problems. Like, whereas it's like you go out and I'm going hunting a deer and feeding myself for a bloody long time on it, and then I'm less reliant on buying food from the supermarket or anything like that too. Like, bloody oath, we should all try and do it. We should all be trying to go out there and help a problem with the deer being so bad in Australia and getting it well and truly out of hand. So that's where I think it's the correct thing to do it.
I reckon you'll love, there's people who are trying to use AI to communicate with animals.
Yeah, right.
So imagine you using that with Bo. That'd be fucking amazing.
That would be sick.
So you got to
go find that deer
straight out. It's like, bro, what are you doing? Like, it's like, what's that, brother? You know.
Oh.
So there's cool progression as well.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. So what would you call the distinguishing line between an ethical kill and a non-ethical kill? What if you could reduce it to kind of a single point?
Like, and that's the thing, that there is guys out there, and I hate to say it, but there is definitely guys that are hunters out there that are barbaric and will do the wrong thing. I don't think there's a lot out there, but there is guys out there that will do
just a quick, easy kind of.
Oh, they might knife something, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, they might be doing just, like, barbaric shit, and you're like, there's just, and it's the stuff that you want to stamp out, and you don't want people to be doing that. I think people need to understand, you need to respect what you're doing, and it's that being ethical, and then there's a few out there that are just, pieces of shit.
Yeah, but to you, what's it look like in action? So is it, you mentioned earlier, shooting the bodies somewhat unethical?
No, it's still ethical. Like, it's well and truly, it's through the engine room is still a really good area to kill an animal.
Through the engine room?
Yeah, that's the engine room.
Yes.
Through the engine room.
I fucking love it.
So through the engine room can be, like, it can be very, very quick kill. Like, if you heart shoot something, it'll be done in a couple seconds.
Of course,
like it's done. Whereas, obviously a headshot, it's like, boom, it's done. But you can miss with a headshot if you don't know what you're doing, and you could blow, you can hit a jaw or whatever, but you can follow up pretty quick, and then next shoot or whatever, next shoot, so just straight down and done. So as well. So that is an ethical shot.
Gotcha. And then unethical people are just
like, you just blowing holes. Like, they're just, it's on the run, I'm gonna just try and pump 4 or 5 into it and see if it drops.
Okay.
That's when it's getting unethical. It's like, well, wait till it stops. If it's not gonna stop, then don't shoot. Like, wait for the next one, or keep going. Like, you might not get the deer that day. It's just, that's
it's okay.
Like, I'll always wait. I'll never, like, if something's running, I've never shot something on the run. Really, never.
You mean that?
Yeah, honestly, it wouldn't have been like, it may have been a follow-up shot if it was on the run, but like, I'm always usually trying to shoot something stationary at all times.
Perfect segue. Have you ever shot something that you couldn't end up finding?
Yeah, it happens. It does happen.
Yeah, okay.
It's more the ruse. It's like it's
Okay,
hard
yeah.
because you lose them in the long grass, and you're trying to find them, and you're standing up on the roof of the car, and using the thermal to then scan where the actual animal is. Because as soon as they're in the grass, like above their body,
Yeah.
you can't see them with the thermal. The
Yeah.
grass, the wet grass blocks all heat. It's wild. Even though it's not that thick, yeah, you can't see a single thing through it.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so that's like something you learn from just going out
And
and
the reality of it.
reality of it. So then you would always we knew when we were in long grass, it was like, all right, you shoot 2, but you never shoot more than 2 because you'll shoot it and then you'll be like, right, keep spotlight on that same spot, and then you just drive straight to that spotlight.
Sorry, you said 2. What do you mean?
Like you would shoot. So what we would do is we'd be out in the so we're out shooting paddocks and we're like, oh, it's shit, it's long as grass here. Say you might only shoot 2 roos. Like you could shoot a heap more, but you know that you're not going to find them.
As in you've gone bang, bang.
Bang, and then you'd be like, yeah, right, sweet.
Okay, yeah.
We've dropped 2.
Yeah.
As long as they haven't run too far apart. So say one's shot and you're like, oh, the one's right next to it, just a couple meters. We'll shoot both because we can drive to that exact spot and we can pick them up.
Understood.
But then you've let all the other ones go. So then you got to keep like trying to do that. So that's when it's like being ethical and making sure you're finding whatever you're killing too. Because at the end of the day, that's losing money. If we don't find them, we're losing money straight away.
Yeah.
It's everything in our interest is to pick that animal up. Everything. And especially too in an area too where you say someone like this has happened a while ago. There was someone who was shooting. They got a professional shooter to come in and shoot on their property, which they were 100% allowed to do. And then this batshit lady went onto the property because she lost her dog or something. And the farmer had done the right thing, and he got obviously the harvester to because he chopped the arms off and the heads off and the guts come out. They put him in a pile on the property, and then this lady was like filming, oh my God, this is disgusting, this is horrible. But I'm like, this is what it is. Like that is, so terrible. And then it was all over the news and shit. And
You're
like,
kidding me.
This guy was doing the right thing by putting the pile in the spot where someone shouldn't find it. This lady's come onto this property because she'd lost her dog or something, and then filming it and then putting this guy in the shit. And you're just like, what is wrong with people? Like,
well, it's disconnect is what's wrong with people.
And that's where you got
to to your factory farm and fucking do
exactly.
that.
So then it was like, so then that's another critical thing is like making sure you're picking up, and then because we were shooting in some places where it was close to it was full safe and legitimate, but it was close to a populated area where, well, we can't just have guts and stuff lying out everywhere, or we can't have the legs and stuff lying out everywhere. So we'll do it in one spot. So like this place, we did it, we go right to the back of the hill and then back at the property, and then we did it all there. So then it was like contained into that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's obviously thought that's gone.
Yeah.
Or there's like a method.
Everything, there's so much goes into professional shooting. It's not just let's go pull a gun out and start blowing everything away. There's so much involved in it.
That's cool.
And a lot of money and a lot of time. A lot of money. There would have been $45,000 worth of stuff we would have had easy. Like between car, you're walking around with an $8,000 thermal and then the gun. And then you got almost a 10 grand setup of gun just in one thing. And then you got a monocular that's like $4.5 grand. So you're walking around just to come onto your property. We're not there to cup of tea. We're there to make some damage. Like and I'm not saying that like, oh, you're a cowboy. It's like we are there to do the one thing.
Shit needs to get done.
Shit needs to get done. You want it done. This is what you need. And this is how to do it properly and ethical. And that's how we did it. So because you got to shoot in places where they can't throw the spotlight around because the next door neighbours are greenie. But old mate's farm's getting absolutely hammered by the deer and hammered by the roos. So he's like, all right, well, I need these guys to come in because he can knock down the numbers. He realises how much of a bad problem they are. But this person has some stupid, thought in their head that, oh, well, they're hunters. They're obviously just going to spray bullets everywhere. You're just like, you realise
like
do this for a
diplomatics you need
living.
to
Like,
do,
there's so much political things of like how we did everything and how everything can have a process and not affect the next door neighbours and make sure that keeps the farmer happy. Make sure, we had the suppressors, obviously, because we want to keep the noise down because then what happens? The cops get called. So if you have the suppressors on, then we have less noise complaints. And that's literally how when we applied for that license, that's literally part of it was like we want to reduce any unwanted calls to police with having the suppressors because we were shooting in areas where it was more like hobby farms and stuff like that. So you got safe area shooting, but it was like a little bit more populated than usual.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I wanted to run a thought experiment past you.
Right.
Yep. Again, leading question to start. Won't be as fucking horrible as the other one. What's something that you want to hunt? This is a context, that you haven't yet. Something rare, something you really want to. Is there like a certain type of thing you'd love to hunt?
It's just more knocking the deer species off Australia. So like the 5 or 6 or whatever we got in Australia, I just really want to knock them off. And I would love to do some real remote, like wild country. Go out to like America or Canada and do like a big moose hunt or something.
For the sake of the thought experiment, picture there's one of those moose here, and you've traveled. How long you traveled? You traveled 18 hours to kill this moose. Yep. You know it's nearby. Bo's got his fucking eyes and ears going. He's just fucking G'd up. As you're closing in on this moose, you see that there's a deer that's actually injured on the side. You forgot your suppressor at home. You don't have any other means to kill this animal than to shoot it. If you do shoot it, the moose gets away. But try answer this pretty honestly and genuinely of the scenario where it is this prized animal that you have genuinely blood, sweat, and tears work towards to try get to. But now you're faced with this ethical dilemma of, do you save the fucking just a little fallow on the side, or do you go for the moose that you've actually worked your whole life for? This is the moose your grandfather told you should shoot.
Because me and my mind, I'm like, I'd just shoot both because I'd just be like, boom, boom, done.
Wait, we could do that? That's an option.
No, because I never want to see an animal suffer. I really do not want to see an animal suffer. And that's part of what you got to do as a hunter. Like, you see shit that you're like, something needs to be put down. It has to be put down.
Yeah, okay.
And that's probably where you would have to just pull the trigger on, and maybe. It's one of those scenarios where it probably it never come about, but I know what I know what you're trying to go. Like,
it's the trolley experiment. I don't know if you've heard that, but I basically asked AI. I'm like, can you do the trolley experiment, but for a hunter that I'll be interviewing? Yeah. And this is what it came up with. But I reckon you'd shoot it and just track the other one.
Yeah, exactly. Realistically, right. That's what you would do. That's what I would do. You would just go, all right, we'll get it next. Because the thing, once you know animals and how they react and how they're like, once you're understanding their habits, it's really cool to pick up on stuff and teach people that too. Like, teach my mates in Queensland like how the animals react when they hear a gunshot in the distance. Because she's like, oh, what if we do too many shots around where we're hunting at the moment? I'm like, don't worry, they'll still be there.
Yeah.
And we're literally looking over these deer. We're watching these deer in the afternoon. And don't say deers. It's deer. There's no plural, right? That's like my pet hate. Pet hate. It's not
glad
deers.
You told me.
It's deer.
Deers.
This professional shooter, we were talking to him once, and he was like, he's like, yeah, all these deers. And we're like, how are you a professional shooter?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Anyway, it's one of my pet hates.
Good side note.
Yeah. And just showing like my mates, like, you're like, oh, gunshots in the distance, boom, and they were going off, and I'm like, look, what are the deer doing here? And they're like, nothing. I'm like, exactly. Yeah. Unless they're getting shot at, they won't really move. Yeah. They might go off for a little bit, but like especially like red deer and stuff like that, they'll just be like, oh. No.
Cool.
That's it. So that's the things you learn. It's studying the animal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now we'll start to get to closing thoughts. And sorry if I've made you. I don't know if sometimes I play back. I'm like, sometimes I create like an urgency feel without consciously noticing. I've lost track of time, so I don't actually know. Maybe someone's gonna knock on that door. So let's try for the next. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Oh, sweet. We're cool, actually.
We're cool.
But yeah. So within the next 10, I think we're good. Appreciate that. We're good. All right. Yes. What was I going to ask you? I was going to ask you a question about stuff.
Things
and stuff, I'm pretty sure.
And no deers.
No deers, yeah. It might have had deers in it. But okay. All right. I think you've answered those pretty well. Not well, but like understandable. And I'd say your moral and ethical framework is consistent just across the board in the way you're doing things. So I'm appreciating that. So zoom back a bit, or not zoom back, but from a kind of legislative and law perspective, what are your opinions on the current gun laws in Australia? Do you have an opinion? Do you think they should be tightened or loosened?
I think there's
Where are we at?
I think there's some things that need to be like I think suppressors should be full legal, 100%,
Legal.
like for everyone to use, because every other country has them.
But they are legal. You just go through an extra step.
No, it's a whole heap of it's ridiculous. It's like a business plan. You can fill out a whole heap of police forms. You need to have public liability, all the rest of it, yada yada yada. Like it's people just go, oh, stuff that's too hard, and then they still get and then you're limited to how many you can have too, and all the rest of it. So there's a whole heap. Whereas in New Zealand, you just go down there and just buy one off the rack.
Yeah, okay.
And you can put it on your gun, and it's safe,
Sure.
and it's good, and just their culture's sick. They support hunting, and everything about hunting is down there. It's just that's life to them down there. So, and even like UK, which got super strict gun rules, like super strict, they're all allowed suppressors.
Okay.
So it's like it's one of those things where you're like, I just don't understand why it shouldn't be allowed. Like it helps so much. Obviously, blasting your ears, people using high-powered rifles, and then you don't have to rely on earmuffs. If you get your earmuffs or whatever, then I think it's a no-brainer. But I think, but also too, I don't want everyone to have semi-automatic like ARs and
that's
nuts.
kind of
like you look at America and you're like, I just watched a video this morning. It was just like ladies just like standing out the front of a childcare center and they've crashed the car and this guy drives past and he's like, can't park there. And then she's like, oh yeah, and then she just pulls out a pistol, points it at him, and then just shoots it in the air. And you're like, I'm good. Like I don't want crazy people having the right to have a gun.
See, I've got a mate, or I'll call him mate, but he was all for like bringing the US gun laws here, and I just could not agree. I just
don't want a world where it's not safe for like kids or my nephews, something like that, to go to school. Like I just think it's weird as like it's so wild. Like you talk to some Americans and like it's like a compound. If you come into the school, they've literally got a prison. Like you, as in like the front entrance is like a full lockdown thing where you're like you come in those real bad areas, and obviously they got armed security guards. You're like,
it's a
wild.
It's a catch-22, or the argument is that it's a paradox in that if the government starts to overstep, we're helpless against that. So we're putting a lot of trust in our government to assume they're not.
Yeah.
And like obviously the events of the past few years, we won't talk too deep into that, but some people start to raise questions about if they have our best interests in mind, and maybe we should have guns. So I can kind of
understand that. I can
lean towards that.
I understand that point, but also too, it's just like
we don't have to worry about kids dying.
We don't go down the road being like, that guy is in a road rage incident and he's having a real shit day. And then he wants to choose to pull that pistol out that's next to him and just start blowing holes and stuff.
Exactly.
Which is just like, as much as it's like, I would love it, but it's like, at the end of the day, I'm like, I think it's pretty cool that we just...
We're safe.
I can shoot all the deer that I want all the time with all the guns I have at the moment, and so what? Like, you can still get a semi-automatic if you go through the right steps. But it's so hard to get like the full AR, like everything like that. But it's you can do it in Australia, but it's bloody hard.
Yeah.
So which is good, which is it should be. It's like shouldn't be just like, we'll give them out to everyone. Like if the people that need it properly for say doing big culls of Brumbies and stuff like that, and they need like a high-powered centerfied rifle, then bloody oath, give it to the right person that is using it for its purpose.
And because it raises a question, what's your reason? And if you don't have a pretty legitimate reason...
I love guns. I do. I love hunting. I love shooting. That is my argument. Yeah, that's pretty much the only argument you have. But I don't think it's right to take people's hobby away, or something that maybe... anything especially nowadays, anything that will encourage people to get outside and enjoy the outdoors is a good thing.
100%.
is a bloody good thing.
Even when Pokemon Go came out.
Yeah, man.
Like,
that was wild.
yeah, like,
Those
but
are days.
the fact that, straight out, oh, fuck, yeah. Like, but that alone, it intrinsically tapped into something that made us get outside. And I think the reason it worked was because we got to be on our phone, but you bump into people who are Pokemon going and you just meet people and you're outside. But it was a perfect hybrid of this thing we're craving that we didn't really realize. Do you think hunting is a lonely sport?
No.
No?
No,
Okay.
I don't reckon. You can make it lonely. You can make it lonely if you want to, but the amount of people, like I said, want to come out and shooting with me.
Yeah.
Like, I could have heaps of people
Yeah,
come
true.
with me. But sometimes I love it being lonely
Of course, yeah.
because it's just that disconnect and switch off.
Yeah.
And that's what I enjoy.
What's it done for your mental health? And then I guess a branch of that is, do you think it will help other people who are having, assuming it's helping, sorry, I'm just clumping two questions in one. Assuming it has benefits, would you recommend it to someone who's struggling, or do you think a sound mind is required first before anyone can hold a gun?
I think a sound mind should always be a person holding a gun. And yeah, I think it's a bloody brilliant way for your mental health. Like, especially, it's everything you should be doing. It's being outside, and it is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it's the fitness, staying fit for the hills. It's exercise. It's the fresh air. It's the beautiful sights. It's the learning the nature.
Well, it's a meditation.
Yeah,
you're now just observing.
Yeah.
You're noticing. You're just literally being there.
You appreciate what you've got. You appreciate the bush. You appreciate,
I'm sure your body as well.
Yeah.
Like,
it's awesome when you go out for a big hunt, you come back, and then you're eating that, like, I don't know, breakfast in the out. Like, when you come back from the big hunt, you might have some egg and bacon and rolls and whatnot, and you've had a massive successful hunt, or you're cracking a beer after it. It's awesome. It's the best feeling ever, especially sharing it with mates. Like, it was jumping for joy when I shot that big stag up in Queensland. I was stoked. Like, I was just it's just that joy, and to get to celebrate with my mates, and like everyone having a nice, beautiful venison sausage salad and everything at the end of the day, and enjoying it with us. Like, all my friends there. That was cool. That's an experience.
That's beautiful. Honestly, you've given me really good insights on this one.
Yeah.
I think you've captured it so well, and it really, I'm jealous, to be honest. I don't know how else to put it. I think envy is something that we should appreciate as well if it's done well.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty envious of the lifestyle you've chosen in the best sense of the word. Yeah. So I think that's really awesome.
Thank you.
That's all right, man. I'm pretty much done with, I guess, somewhat closing question. I don't really want to, I feel like I was just going to ask, what's the community like? But again, you've captured it already so perfectly.
I think it's getting bigger. I think there's been a real uptake in hunting, I reckon. I think they talk about in America where it's like there's been an uplift in numbers and everyone getting into it. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the next 10 years and see if people really kind of stepping away from how modernized everything is becoming to then being like, oh shit, you know.
I need to rely on myself.
Maybe I need to rely a bit on my own, especially cost of living stuff. I don't know, like people are like, oh, maybe I need to go get some meat and save some costs here. I don't know. So it'd be interesting to see what happens, I reckon, in the next 10 years of hunting. It'd be cool. And
man, you are genuinely at the front of that, or one of the people at the front kind of trying to be. And the work's in there. It's showing. I know you're genuinely flat out on time. So I mean it when I say I'm honoured. You've actually, just out of kindness, taken time out of your day. You've literally fit this into your day.
Yeah, no, I'm literally, I've put on the trailer, it worked out perfectly. I got my Facebook Marketplace buy for my tanning shed. I got some stainless steel bench stuff. I got to pick him up on the way out. I was like, perfect.
So you're welcome, bro.
It's worked
Lachie
out well.
Barr, thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you.
I'm sure, I'll put all your links and whatnot, but if anything, it'll be you bringing people here. So thank you.
No worries.
In all ways, man. Appreciate it, man. Oh, there you are.
Oh.
Hey. And peace, I guess.
Done.
See ya. Boom.